Hey, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to American Reversion. Let's talk a little bit about resistance to tyranny, shall we? I think we should. Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. One of our most popular mugs, as a matter of fact, here at American Reversion. I'll read what's on the back to you later. Before we get into that, I want to welcome a whole bunch of people, and I want to thank another channel. Somebody somehow I came across. Well, I was watching one of the only a couple of channels that I watch, to be honest, and it's Pinball Preparedness. And this is the channel I want to thank him. Thank you, Pinball. And he had an interesting the as you all know, I don't watch very many channels. I don't have a lot of time, so there's only a few that I watch. His is one of them. Very smart guy, knows what he's talking about, gets into a lot of the political discourse. I tend to cover things in a broad brush. He gets into the details of it, does it very well. And one of the things that, one of the video titles that caught my eye, it was something like 12 channels that you should watch, 12 small channels that you should watch, things like that. So I had it playing. I was doing some other things, but I was watching it, and darned if he didn't mention this channel, American Reversion, and all of a sudden I started getting people joining this channel. We started getting people joining this channel and saying, Pinball sent me, and it is great to have. You know, something that I discovered also, the people who come over from his channel here, I mean, they're not leaving him, they're just adding us to, some of their viewership. They tend to be very nice, from what I've seen, and just like the people here, and that is great. One of the things that I'm going to do, he listed 12 channels, and I am going to tell you, in case any of you didn't see his video, I'm going to tell you which ones they are. Now, I've had a chance to watch a few of them, and I subscribe. And what I'm going to do is, throughout the rest of the day, I'm going to watch one from each one of these channels, and I'm going to subscribe. Okay. Now, every channel isn't necessarily for everyone. Something's just not your cup of tea. You're interested in one thing more than another. We're all limited on time. I understand that. But I am, and I think this is great that he has done that. He's a big channel. And trying to help small channels, number one, but also to bring to the attention of other people good information coming out from small channels. I remember integrative preparedness. I remember when I hit 100 subscribers and killing the kids got a cookie and says, happy 100. It's a lot of work doing a channel. You put a lot of thought into it. You put yourself out there, for the world to take shots at you. And any of us who do these things, we get a lot of ridicule, but we don't do it, that doesn't shut us down. We do it to share information and to help people. We think that we have some things to share, and we do. And that puts you out there. And so all of these people have done that, and they've put themselves out in front of the world, and that's not something everybody can do. So anyway, I'm going to list these, and also I'm going to put these with and I'm not very, those of you who know me know this, and those of you who don't yet know me don't know this yet, but I'm not very technical savvy. And I think if I put the names of these channels in the information box with the @ in front of them, then I think that will give you a link to go to these channels. I would suggest that everybody visit these channels, give them support, even if you say, well, I don't really have time to really watch all these. Yeah, I understand that, but give it a watch. And unless it's something that you absolutely disagree with or don't like, which I can't imagine that would be the situation, subscribe to them. Just let them come up on your feed, because they're going to have something that will be interesting for you to watch, right? Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to mention them here, and then I'm going to post those in the @s. First off, anybody who is not subscribed to Pinball Preparedness, please go subscribe to him. He doesn't need us. We're small. He's big. But it's just the thing to do. And you're going to get good information from him in much more detail. Like I say, I come at it from a whole different perspective, but he gets into detail, and his details are good. Okay, so the first one that and then I'm going to list the ones. I'm going to also list 12, but since American Reversion was on the list, I'm not going to, of course, mention this. Here you are. But I'm going to add one that I would suggest you watch at the end, okay? Okay, so the first is Sassy Gal Prepping. The second is Mimi's Abundant Life, or Mimi's Place. The third is Celebrating Farm Life. The fourth is Surviving in Alabama. I'm losing track here. Is the fifth, Purposeful Prepper. The next is Southern Tier Prepper. The next is Prepper Dog. The next is Backyard Musings. The next is the Orlando Prepper. The next is the Rural Report, or Rural 2IC. The 11th on his is Smokin' Swamp Outdoors. That's a great name. Smokin' Swamp Outdoors. Excellent. And then the one that I'm going to add to that is Cold War Prepper. Those of you who aren't familiar with Lee over there at Cold War Prepper, great guy. I've been on his, he had me on. He's retired military intelligence, very smart guy, very nice guy. He does a lot of book reviews. He's reviewed all my books, reviewed a lot of other people's books, does a very good job at it. And so I would suggest that you add him to your list on that. So all of those channels, if you happen to, to hear this, I'm going to be visiting all those channels. I'm going to be subscribing to all those channels, and because the good folks in this community need to help each other and support each other, and I hope you all will too. And again, thank you to Pinball. Thank you so much. And he's a leader in the preparedness community, and this is why, because he's willing to help. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about resistance. We see what's going on in the world. We are disgusted by it. I read an excerpt from my first book, The Reversion, the other day, about what's kind of happened to our country. But now we get into, okay, we know what's happened. What are we going to do about it? Okay, now this is, Thomas Jefferson is famous for many, many quotes, and among his most famous quotes is, "Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God." I'll tell you how to get these later on, but just at the end. On the back of the mug, and we do this, we have a series of mugs that American Reversion puts out. If you'd like one, I'll tell you how later. It helps support the cause, right? On the back it says that whenever any form of government, you all will recognize where this comes from, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people, to alter. And where do those rights come from? They don't come from a written piece of paper or from men, they come from God. It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Yes, that is from the Declaration. One of my ancestors, as a matter of fact, Arthur Middleton, was a signer of the Declaration. So this runs in my blood and has for a long time. Let me take a sip out of this excellent message, and before I get in talking about resistance, okay, just a second. Now, we are not at the point to where anybody should be talking about rebellion, except perhaps having a rebellious spirit, standing against those things that we know to be wrong and oppressive. But resistance, I would say, to tyranny, pardon me, is obedience to God. I'll kind of twist Tom's words there. Instead of rebellion to tyrants, resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. Because what is obedience to tyranny? If we obey tyranny, are we obeying God? Or are we resisting God? Excuse me just a second. Sorry, I had to cough. I don't have a cough button on this. So if we obey tyranny, we're not just resisting God, we're rebelling against God because we are supporting that which is ungodly. We are supporting that which God stands against. Right? Okay, so resistance to tyranny, obedience to God. I'm going to say a few things here. I'm going to give a couple of quotes, well, three things, a quote consisting of three things from RFK Jr. Now, I'm not a supporter. I find him a very interesting person. There's a lot about him I admire. I totally disagree with most of his political stances. Okay, he was raised in a lib family. No, I don't. Well, I'll just leave it there. You know, almost anybody you can find something that they stand for, believe in, with which you will agree, and that's the way that I feel about RFK. You know, most of his stuff, his political stuff, no, man, I don't want him near the White House. But he is a person of integrity as far as standing by his beliefs, many of which are wrong, in my opinion. But he said this the other day in a speech. He said, never remember, I think I might have posted this, if I'm not mistaken. I think I might have posted this on the Patreon channel. And for those of you who are new, we do have a Patreon channel associated with this YouTube channel. And of course, many of you are watching this on the Patreon side. But I put a lot of other stuff over there on the Patreon side that I can't put on YouTube. And if you would like to join us, no pressure at all. I just let you know. The link is down below if you would like to join the Patreon channel. And I do put a lot over there that I just can't put on YouTube. Okay. So RFK says this. He says three things. He said this at the end of some speech. He says, remember this. Any power that government takes from the people, it will never return voluntarily. Never return voluntarily. Let's back up and add more word. Power, government from the people, never return voluntarily. We know that, right? Number two, he says any power. Well, I had to sneeze that time. Apparently the powers that be don't want this being made. I'm teasing. They don't care about me. Number two, any power that government takes, it will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. Number three, nobody ever complied their way out of totalitarianism. Isn't that the truth? And then he tags us, the only thing we can do is resist. He's absolutely right about all of those things. And for anybody that says, okay, let me go back and hear that again, I'll read them all through in once quickly before we go on. Number one, any power that government takes from the people, it will never return voluntarily. Number two, any power that government takes, it will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. And number three, nobody ever complied their way out of totalitarianism. The only thing we can do is resist. Okay, well, resistance is good up to a point. And then something else happens. We're not going to talk about what that other thing is right now. We're going to talk about the importance of resistance. How do we resist? We resist by not participating in the system the way the system wants us to participate. Okay. When I wrote my book, well, when I wrote the first book, The Reversion, and then as I wrote the rest of the Stonemont series, you know, people see that as a preparedness. They see them as preparedness books. They're novels, you know, and they're that's true. I say that they are the complete guide for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a collapse of everything. And that third part is the rebuilding. Throughout the series, I talk about comparative justice and government and how government should be instituted in my opinion. I think most of you would agree, because everybody I hear from says, yeah, I agree. uh, and what happened to our country? How did a country collapse? Now, in the books, it's as a result of a CME, so it's not a societal collapse, but the CMA brings about a societal collapse. I'm getting started on a new series, by the way. I'm about to finish up the 7th book in the Stonemont series, and I have 2 other series that I'm starting. I've already started one and about to start the second, so I'll be writing those concurrently. But while people look at the books as a series, as a preparedness book, really what it is, it's a lesson in resistance. The story, just to encapsulate it, is a story of a family who was prepared, and as a result of their preparedness, were able to continue living a good life after the collapse of everything. And not only that, but to help other people. And through that help, and through discernment and certain requirements for of behavior and things like that, as they rebuilt the community, they were able to rebuild a community. But the source of their strength, the preparedness itself, came from resistance. People don't think of preparedness, or maybe some of you do. Most people don't think of preparedness as resistance. It is the ultimate resistance. I talk about preparedness is the ultimate responsibility and the ultimate irresponsibility, in personal responsibility and then responsibility for those who depend on you. But it's not just that, it's the ultimate resistance, because preparedness allows you to live a life and to live well separate from all of those external. This is the definition of integrative preparedness, the other channel. It allows you to live well separate from all those external interrelated systems over which you have little or no control. And so by establishing your own independence, your own self-reliance, and people really should think of this more as independence, your own personal declaration thereof, it is resistance to the system. I'm no longer relying on the system, therefore I no longer have to feed into the system. I no longer have to abide by all those little rules and regulations and BS that, we do have to do some. I mean, it's just realistic. We have to abide by the laws of the country in which we live. Which brings another question. Are all laws moral? And what is obedience to immoral laws? I get into that a lot in the books, and I've already gotten into it in the new series right now. That's for each one of you to decide for yourself. Is not for me to talk about on this venue anyway. But preparedness truly is the resistance. As we look at what's happening in the world around us, we watch what's happening this year in this election year, and possibly very probably what goes on beyond that. This election is not going to solve all problems. It may solve some, and with each one it solves, it will create another one. And we live, like the old Chinese curse, in interesting times, and I think they're about to get a lot more interesting. But resistance and preparedness are inseparable. Your preparedness allows you to not participate in an oppressive regime, right? And as a result, that is resisting. You're not supporting it. And you're able to stay out of most of the clutches of that oppressive system. So think about that. That's I'm sure that many of you will have thoughts on that. I'll be interested to read all of your comments on this. But do realize and start thinking about your preparedness as your resistance. And as more and more people become prepared, that's increasing resistance to oppression because it's an increasing number of people who don't have to. Oppression is enabled by the people's need, right? The fewer needs you have, the less you can be oppressed, except by force. And that's certainly, we'll be talking about that a lot more in the future, I'm sure, because we're going to see a lot of violence coming. That's my opinion. I noticed my wife Kelly just sent me something. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. It's a video, I think, by Buddy Brown, and the title of it is equating this election coming with the election of 1968. I've been talking about that for a long time. I remember the election of 1968. I was a young fella. I was 14 years old during the riots of 1968. We're going to see the same thing happen at the Democrat National Committee in Chicago this year as they did in the Democrat Committee convention in Chicago in '68. There are a lot of parallels. I'll be interested to see Buddy Brown's take on it. That's another one you might check out too there, Buddy Brown, at Buddy Brown, whatever it is. So anyway, I didn't tell you. I probably should. And for those of you who are new to us, I should tell you what I've been talking about for a little while. This is the Stonemont series. These are my books. It's 6 books. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. They are available through our website, stonemont.us. And you can also get them through Amazon. Amazon gets them to you a lot faster. We're waiting for a shipment because we keep running out because people are buying them so fast. But we get them out to you a little more slowly, but I get to sign them for you and write a little note in it. And I love doing that because I love my relationship with my readers just like I love my relationship with my viewers. So those links are both down below. The Patreon link is down below if you'd like to join us over there. And the link to the website, stonemont.us. This is the Stonemont series. If you aren't a Stonemonter yet, you'll discover what it is. And also all of our mugs and things like that are available over there if you're interested. So again, welcome to all of the new people. It's great to have you. I'll look forward to your interaction with the channel in the comment section. We already have some great people here. I think you all are great people too. It'll be a great mix. Do check out those channels that I mentioned and let's help each other on this. And another big thank you to Pinball over at Pinball Preparedness. I really appreciate it, and I enjoy his channel, and I learn from his channel, and we can all learn from each other. Okay? You guys have a good day. Remember that America needs a reversion. It needs you to be a part of it. Reversion starts with resistance. Reversion, taking things back to the way they should be. Can we do it? Well, we will see about that. But resistance to an oppressive system is our responsibility. You all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.